Hey everybody, welcome back to Challenge the Call with Max and Avery. I'm your host, Max.
And I am Avery. How are you guys?
All right, so today we're going to get into a little bit of baseball, a little bit of Bears, back to our Iowa Hawkeyes football a little bit, and give you guys an update on the NBA playoffs. So first, we will start off with baseball with our segment Cubs Corner. Avery, what do you got?
I just want to say I love Cubs Corner lately. It's a new segment title. We kind of went through, we've been a podcast for a while now. So we're like, okay, what? We need to change some of our names. We've gotten a couple of names pointed out that sound a little odd. So I'm glad we kind of agreed on Cubs Corner there. But speaking of the Cubs, we are 12-7 in the NL Central right now, and that is good enough for a wild card playoff spot if the season ended today. But it's
a very long season, though, so that is
it's a very, very long season. But the Cubs are getting hot, man. I don't know if you kind of seen us lately, but we are rolling.
I did watch a part of the Dodgers game yesterday. We were recording on Saturday right now, so Friday's Dodger game. I watched a little bit of that. With some of the other coaches in the office. So I've seen how hot the Cubs can be. I mean, talk about beating the Dodgers 13-0, almost pitching a no-hitter is absolutely insane.
And this is a Dodgers team that's been in the World Series recently. So, this is a really good Dodgers team. But, 13-0, that's fireworks for baseball. That is fireworks for baseball. And, we dropped one the game before 6-2. And then we beat the A's 12-2. Also, and then 4-0, and then 10-1. We swept the A's, we killed the A's. So we're not just hot, we're rolling right now. I want to spotlight one guy specifically, Patrick Wisdom, our third baseman. He has 70 at bats and 9 home runs to start the year. That's good for second place in all of Major League Baseball. 9 home runs starting off. That's impressive. And, Patrick Wisdom has gotten a lot of scrutiny over the last couple of years because he replaced Chris Bryant, a longtime Cub that was, loved in Chicago. And so, people were like, nah, you're not as good as, Chris Bryant was, blah, blah, blah. It's hard to replace, a veteran like that. But Patrick Wisdom is becoming his own. I think there was a crazy stat there that he's had, 5 home runs in 5 games, which is just insane to me. Because
that is awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to replace a veteran like that, sure, but as the movie Moneyball would say, it's all about getting on base. Does he get on base? There you go.
Right? But yeah, man, the Cubs, they are killing it right now. I just want to see them continue. We play the Dodgers again tonight. Actually, today at 1:20. I want to talk about, though, some of the other teams in the MLB right now. So the Dodgers, they are 10-11. We kind of mentioned. Another thing with this is so the Rangers and the Rangers in the American League West, they're also 12-7. They were in the World Series last year. So I like to keep an eye out on World Series teams from last year. But the team I really want to talk about is the Tampa Bay Rays. They're still so hot right now. They are in the American League West, or not West, I'm sorry. They're in the American League East, and they're 17-3. 17-3, and they're on a 7-game win streak. So that's just impressive to me. I want to continue seeing if the Rays can continue, because a couple of years ago they were the worst team in Major League Baseball. But as of now, guys, that's all I got for Cubs Corner.
For sure. That's one thing that I think baseball. That's one reason I don't think I can get into it. Is all these like you said, we play the Dodgers again tonight and tomorrow, same time. We play them 2 more times. And we've already played them 5 times before now. Why? That's one of the biggest reasons I think I have a rough time getting into baseball, is because if I'm really going to get into a sport, truly, Bears fandom, Iowa fandom into a sport, I want to watch every game they have. Every time they play, I want to be able to watch that shit. And I don't have time to watch all these baseball games. They played 3 days straight, the same team. I can't do that. I don't have that kind of commitment. So I think that's my biggest issue there with baseball. But we are 3-2 this season against the Dodgers. So hopefully squeak out a couple more wins. Like you said, that's a former championship team or a recent World Series team. So, hey, things are looking good for the Cubs if they can, come out on top of that series.
For sure, yeah. And time will tell, if the Cubs can keep this momentum going. Like you mentioned, it's a long season. Like we're not even a quarter of the way through yet. 162 games, and we played what is that? 19 of the
Yeah,
162. So he's still got 143 to go. Um,
absolutely insane. Just ridiculous. Just ridiculous.
but
But
yeah,
moving on, we'll get into our Bears segment here. We're throwing around a few different names, so we actually want to know what you guys think is best. We got 3 different options right now. Please go vote for your favorite in the comments on YouTube, or we will post a poll up on Instagram and TikTok. So go to our Insta, go to our TikTok, vote for your favorite, or comment which one you like best in the comments below on YouTube. But our 3 options that we have for our Bears segment right now are the Bear Trap, Bear Necessities, and the Bear Cave. Avery, which one personally is your favorite of those 3?
I really love the bare necessities. I think it is so cool. I don't know, like because like it's just like a cool oxymoron. Like I love it though.
See, and that's my least favorite one, honestly, on the list. This is why we need this poll. I'm a big fan of the Bear Cave. I love the Bear Cave. Like, let's get into it. Like, it's time for the Bear Cave. Or even the Bear Trap isn't as bad because the Bears feel like they have trapped me inside a box with how sad they make me. But
no, yeah. Well, and so I like the bear cave. The bear cave's my second. I'm not like too into the bear trap. I mean, it's cool and all, but
the one thing I do think is funny about the Bear Trap is just like I said, like if you had to ask me what the Bear Trap was, the Bear Trap is thinking you're gonna improve or be better every year, and you just aren't. That is the Bear Trap.
like this year, we think we are gonna have a decent team. Are we? We're gonna be 5-13.
Time will tell. But you know what's gonna make a big difference in whether that team is very good or not? Who we get in the draft. So let's get into it. We already posted an episode. We did the entire first round. We did a mock draft, Avery and I. So go listen to that episode. It was posted a couple days ago. But this time, we're just going to go through all of the Bears picks. So we're going to run through a simulator, and we are going to just pick for the Bears. In that simulator, we're going to let it take care of all the other teams and all that. So, Avery, you got that pulled up?
Yep. You ready to roll?
Let's roll.
All right. So it is going right now.
And as of right now, the Bears have the number 9 pick in the first round. So it'll run until it gets there.
I forgot to put it on fast. Hold on. We're redoing it.
Redoing. While you do that, I ran a separate simulation, actually, that I didn't pick anybody. I just let the simulator completely run through. And it has, at number 9, the Bears taking Paris Johnson Jr. I like that move. I think that's a decent move. The only issue I know Avery and I both have with it a little bit is the very next pick number 10 by the Eagles, is Jalen Carter. And I think we said it in our mock draft episode a couple days ago. If Jalen Carter's on the board during the Bears' number 9 pick, we're taking Jalen Carter.
Yes, and I think Ryan Poles agrees with us because like he's met with Jalen Carter 3 times, and like I just think like he is the perfect Chicago Bear. So, like, I think if he is on the board, we take Jalen Carter. Well, so I have mine pulled up, and
Okay.
I know we mentioned the only time we're going to do trades is in this first round. So there's 3 trade offers that pulled up for Chicago. I'm going to name them off. Chicago Bears would trade the number 9 pick and pick 64 in the 3rd round for Washington's 16th pick, pick 47, and a 2024 Washington 2nd round pick. I don't like it. I don't think it's enough to trade all the way down to the 16th spot. Pick 47 is a middle 2nd round pick. And you get a 2nd rounder next year, which isn't terrible, but like
I actually don't hate this.
Okay.
Just based on I ran a simulation myself earlier, and I feel like all the first round offer picks I got were well out of the first 20. And I was kind of like, no, fuck that. No. But trading from 9 to 16, that's not what. Here's the question. Here is the question that we've talked about before. Is Jalen Carter on the board?
No. Okay, so I want to mention a couple of weird things that have happened because CJ Stroud, there's been a lot of controversy that's been following him the last couple of days, and his draft stock is starting to decline. And number 1 pick was Bryce Young from Alabama to the Carolina Panthers, which shocked me. But, I mean, that's kind of what's been going on, like back and forth with CJ Stroud. But number 2 with the Houston Texans, they took Anthony Richardson.
Mm.
They didn't take C.J. Stroud. He fell. Willie Anderson, common. He went to the Cardinals. But number 4, Indianapolis took C.J. Stroud. Jalen Carter went number 5 to the Seattle Seahawks in my simulation.
Gotcha.
So
see, in the simulation I have, it's Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Tyree Wilson, Anthony Richardson, and then Will Anderson Jr.
okay.
So, yeah, technically, like I said, for mine, it says Paris Johnson Jr., but Carter's on the board. But for the sake of your simulation, Carter's not on the board, so we need to trade. Can you see the other 2 trades, or do you have to reject or accept this first one first?
No, I can go next, but there's another key information that I need to mention. Paris Johnson Jr. is off the board also. The Falcons took him at number 8, 1 pick before us. So there is another guy that we probably should take at 9 that if he is there, that isn't there. So there is the other one is very intriguing, and I like it. So pick 9. We would trade with the Arizona Cardinals. We would get pick 34, their second-round pick, but strong safety, Budda Baker, and wide receiver, DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh,
I like this pick. Budda Baker is a great safety. He would shore up our secondary. Seeing him with Eddie Jackson would be amazing. And wide receiver,
and DeAndre Hopkins is just a stud of a receiver. Absolute X factor. Our receiving core would be freaking DeAndre Hopkins at X, DJ Moore at Z, and fucking Darnell Mooney probably is like a slot, or fucking whoever left as a slot. Doesn't even matter.
Right.
Holy crap.
And I like it, but at the same time, salary cap. D-Hop gets $20 million a year. That's a lot for a 33-year-old receiver. Budda Baker is under a $120 million contract, but we got him for 4 years, and he's only 26, or 28. So, like, I don't mind the Budda Baker, but the D-Hop, it's like, okay.
We still have a ton of salary cap, though, don't we?
We do. We still have the second most in the NFL right now.
So you've heard me say it before. We have the salary cap. I don't think that should be a huge factor playing in to our decisions here. Like, if we have the money, we have the money. It's DeAndre Hopkins for a Justin Fields who needs some receivers. Like,
well, and I'm not even excited. Like, I'm excited about D-Hop, but I'm more excited about Budda Baker. Sharing up our secondary on top of with Eddie Jackson, and we only moved down 4 picks to pick 34 in the second round. Like, we give up our first round, I get that, but we go to pick 34. That's almost a first round pick.
What's our second round pick right now? We're 53.
53.
So yeah, well, at least we move up there. What's our third offer? Let's look at this first.
Our third offer is from the Buffalo Bills. We would trade the number 9 pick. They would get pick 20, or Chicago would get pick 27, pick 59 in the second round, pick 91 in the fourth round, and pick their 2024 Buffalo second round pick. I don't like that.
That's a no for me. That's a hard no for me. You're moving us down in the second, down in the first. Like, no, fuck you. What?
Right. I don't think I would take Washington's. It's hard.
I would take Washington's. I like that move, but the Cardinals having Budda Baker and D-Hop, I really like that, actually. I think that's one I would very heavily consider saying yes to.
If we do that, then we do not have a first this year. Do you want me to accept it?
Which is, we just got Budda Baker and DeAndre Hopkins. Like, I mean,
essentially.
Yeah, and which, to some degree, when you're thinking about it, it's like you've said, you don't want to pick a receiver first round. And it makes sense. And we're looking at going defensive first round and or line. So I don't know if it necessarily makes the greatest sense to us. But with taking DeAndre Hopkins, you're not just taking a chance on a receiver. You're taking a good, solid veteran receiver who's made a name for himself, who you know is going to be productive on your team. So I feel like that's worth potentially giving up a first round pick. I would go either way. I want to take one of these two, honestly. I want to take the Commanders or the Cardinals. So I will let you decide which one you like better, but I say we take one or the other.
I'm going to roll with the Washington Commanders in sake of our podcast so we can talk about a player that we could get in the first round. But no, if that offer actually happened, I would probably take the Arizona Cardinals.
Fair enough. All right, let's go Washington. We're getting pick number 16. Accept.
All right, so Washington, with our pick, they ended up taking Christian Gonzalez from Oregon, cornerback. That's a good move for Washington. Christian Gonzalez, best corner. Ooh, the interesting Tampa Bay comes up in trades with the Philadelphia Eagles at number 10 and takes Will Levis at number 10. So we do have a couple of more trade offers. I don't know if I would trade back again, but pick 16, the Eagles would trade us pick 19 and a third rounder in 2024. So we'd move back 3 and we get another pick.
I traded down once. I'm not trading down again.
Yeah. Well, and then I just want to mention the second one is the San Francisco 49ers. They would give us pick 99, which is in the third round, but also Brandon Ayuk and Dre Greenlaw, linebacker, and their second rounder next year and their sixth rounder. That's a lot. But like you said, we traded down once. I do like the Brandon Ayuk, but we're going to reject that offer too.
I would like Brandon Ayuk too. I think he would be an awesome addition. Once again, he would just be another amazing receiving core addition that we could make. But I also agree with your, for the sake of the podcast and everything, like we need a first round pick. We need to talk about a first round that we're going to take. So we're not moving further back. We've already moved down to 16. Like, let's see who's around. What do we got?
All right. So a couple of key guys have been taken. Like we mentioned, Paris Johnson Jr. is gone. Jalen Carter's gone. Darnell Wright's gone. Jackson Smith-Njigba is gone by the Patriots. So we got potential. We got Peter Skorninski, left tackle on Northwestern. If we go wide receiver route, we got Jordan Addison. If we go edge rusher route, we got Lucas Van Ness, our boy from Iowa. Joey Porter Jr., cornerback. Keely Ringo, cornerback. Quentin Johnston, wide receiver. Who are you thinking?
As much as I would love to say, let's take Luke Van Ness, I think when it comes to that lineup, it's a no-brainer that we get Peter Skornsky.
Yes. Yeah, I was going to say that too. Peter Skornsky, he's the prototypical pick that we need to take as a Chicago Bear because it's going to shore up our offensive line. For sure.
He's what we want. We want some line. It'd be great to add to the receiving core. It'd be great to add to the defense, but I think line is more important. We've got DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney. I don't know why I can't think of like any of our other receivers. I mean, Chase Claypool, but
Eklund, St. Brown.
St. Brown, yeah. So, but more importantly, we got DJ Moore and Darnell Mooney. Like they can be a good X and Z and work off each other, and that'd be great. We need protection for Fields, though. Like this needs to be a Poles trusting in Fields type move of, hey, here's a tackle. We're going to let you throw. We're going to keep you safe on this field. Because he has been rocked with some bad concussions before. We've watched this man get beat up.
Oh, yeah.
So just giving him that protection is definitely a necessity.
Also, I wanted to mention one thing. Number 9 prospect, Bijan Robinson, running back, is also there. But we got Deontay Foreman and we got Khalil Herbert. And I think we could get a running back in the second to third round. So
definitely. And it's like we've talked about just a couple days ago on the mock draft episode. If you guys go back and listen to that, you'll hear my take about running backs there. But I think taking a solid lineman over a solid running back is way more important in the run game in itself, because you need the lineman to create those holes. And I watched a little bit of highlights of Peter Skornsky, and I saw him pulling a little bit, on some like different power sweeps and shit like that. And so just, he's going to create those holes. He's going to make room for Herbert to run. And so I think I would love to take a running back. I don't mind taking a solid running back in this draft. I think we need to add to the line first and foremost, though.
I agree. So let's lock in. All right. So now we got to wait to pick 47. This is the pick that we got from Washington in our trade.
Yep.
So
for the sake of what my simulation runs, they did have, I just want to point this one out because you'll see why, but they have Washington at pick 47 taking Jack Campbell from Iowa. So I saw that right there and you said 47. I was like, oh shit, that's our boy.
Oh man, that's awesome. I love to see that. And I want to mention in mine, our simulation. So we're at pick 47 now, but there's a couple multiple like guys that went. So Bijan Robinson went to the Chargers at 21. That's a good, because Austin Eckler is on the move. We talked about Austin Eckler being on the trade block, so that's a good move for the Chargers. But Lucas Van Ness joining the Philadelphia Eagles at pick 19. I like that. Lucas Van Ness joining the Eagles at pick 19. We also I also saw Will McDonald from Iowa State go to the Carolina Panthers at pick 30. And
Nice.
then Hendon Hooker fell in the second round to the Las Vegas Raiders. So
That is, I'm excited to see who all the Bears pick and everything, but I'm also super curious to see where all of our Iowa guys do end up going. Luke Van Ness, Jack Campbell, uh, Will McDonald, all of them. I want to see where they end up and what they're doing. But who do we have available on this board right now for the Bears at pick 47?
So pick 47, Jack Campbell is not available, unfortunately. He went to the Atlanta Falcons and pick 44. But we already took offense tackles, so we need a wide receiver, edge rusher, offensive guard, or D tackle. We got Trenton Simpson coming from Clemson, linebacker. Interesting move that I wouldn't mind is Darnell Washington from Georgia, tight end. He's huge. But we also got Mozzie Smith, a D tackle from Michigan. We got Cedric Tillman, a wide receiver from Tennessee. Where do you want to go? Do you want to go edge rusher? You want to go wide receiver? Do you want to go offensive guard, D tackle?
So it's hard to say. For me, it all depends on who. I don't necessarily want to go by position. I want to go by who's available in the position. And one thing you brought up that intrigues me a lot, actually, is Darnell Washington from Georgia being on the board. Because he's almost like, he is that kind of tight end that we could use him to strengthen our receiving core. Like, we're talking about taking receivers, strengthen our receiver core, our receiver core, our receiver core. But we have failed to mention receivers outside of wide receivers.
Right.
Tight ends. So I think a tight end would actually be a great addition to our receiving core. I know we have Cole Kmet, and he's working on finding his stride in the NFL. To put it kindly.
And we got Robert Tonyan.
And Robert, that is true. We do have Robert Tonyan now too, which I forgot about. But that's true. I did forget about that move. But at the same time, I think Darnell Washington could potentially be a lot more of a long-term addition. I think Robert Tonyan would be a good kind of option with his 1-year deal. Train up Kmet, train up Darnell Washington. And because I just think he would be a stud in both our run game and our pass game. Like, he'd be an awesome receiver. Like you said, he's a big guy, but he can also block. Like, we're talking about getting linemen, getting protection for fields and opening up holes for the run game. Tight ends do that too. Like, you don't have to send the tight end out. You can keep him in on protection. You can use him in a zone scheme or a power scheme to open some holes up. Like, I think me just being a big tight end fan, frankly, as a tight ends coach and stuff, I like the idea of taking a stud tight end. And I think Darnell Washington's not a bad move there.
Yeah, I agree. Like, your perspective on Darnell Washington, he is very, very, very skilled. And he is a great blocker. But I was hoping to take Sam Laporta in third, maybe fourth round if he falls that late. But there is one guy that I do want to mention is he's picked 30. Well, he's prospect 33. It's Trenton Simpson from Clemson. Like, he's a great linebacker. I know we already added like Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards from Philadelphia. But to shore up the other side of our linebacking core, like, we go from one of the worst linebackers after we traded like Roquan Smith, linebacking core, to one of the best. And then you throw in Jack Sanborn also, that progressed really well last year. I think Trenton Simpson's got to be that move.
I like the thought of taking Laporta in the third. I didn't think about having him, but the one Iowa biased aside, I will say is I think Darnell Washington would help more in the run game. Laporta's not a great blocking tight end. He's definitely much more of a receiving type guy, which is fine and everything. But yeah, no, I like your move of going linebacker. I just think none of the names stuck out to me a ton, but when you said Darnell Washington, I was like, oh shit, like, yeah, that's a name right now. Like let's do him. But I'm in full support of let's go linebacker. We got Robert Tonyan, we got Cole Kmet. If we happen to lose Laporta in the third to somebody else, it's not the end of the world because, like you said, we do have two tight ends right now. It's just the
for sure. So locking in Trenton Simpson from Clemson. All right, we are now up again with our original 53rd pick in the second round. And Darnell Washington is still on the board. So if you are interested in Darnell Washington now, he's still on the board. But
who else is on the board? Because I'm with your. Let's try to get Laporta. We do have 2 tight ends. So what else can we get right now that could potentially be a better?
So Mozzie Smith from Michigan, defensive tackle. We missed out on Jalen Carter. That's one of our biggest needs. Mozzie Smith is the 46th best prospect in the draft. So getting him at 53, that's kind of a steal. I know he performed really well at Michigan. So like I wouldn't mind Mozzie Smith. We also could add a wide receiver. And there's still a couple that I'm interested in. Cedric Tillman, he was Jalen Hyatt's co-partner at Tennessee. He was pretty decent. Rashee Rice from SMU, he's pretty solid. Or Marvin Mims Jr., from Oklahoma. He's not a bad option either.
I like taking the tackle. Like you said, we missed out on Carter. We need a tackle. I think as much as I do want to build our receiving core and help that out, we do need a tackle. We need to make sure our defense is still holding up because we do have a moderately decent receiving core, or what should be a good receiving core now. So I don't think it's the most important thing that we need to keep adding more and more receivers. Another solid slot receiver or backup X or Z would be awesome, but it's not a super big necessity. So I think going defense, especially defensive line, would be ideal. Just since you mentioned Jalen Hyatt and stuff, in the simulation I ran, they actually have the Bears trading with the Chiefs for this number 53 pick, and they have the Chiefs taking Jalen Hyatt 50.
Man, all right. Yeah, that would be awesome. If Jalen Hyatt was there, I would take Jalen Hyatt. Like, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, and I'd support that. I would, like, if that was the option, like if that was our receiver option over our D tackle, I'd probably agree there. I'd say that's a good enough receiver move up that I don't care. Defense is whatever. Like, yeah, let's pick that.
For sure. So I'm locking in Mozzie Smith from Michigan. All right. And unfortunately, Darnell Washington is now officially off the board. So there's no turning back now. But we are pick 61. We're still in the second round, guys, because we traded our first round back and we had 3 second round picks. So that would be awesome if that actually truly happened.
So the simulation I ran, I know you mentioned Marvin Mims Jr. earlier for another receiver. This simulation has us picking Marvin Mims Jr. 61.
Okay, and I wouldn't mind that, but Marvin Mims Jr. went pick 60 to the Cincinnati Bengals. So we got to figure out something here. Unfortunately, so we do need multiple offensive linemen, right? There's not many there that I would take myself. I don't really like the options, but I do know we didn't trade for Buda Baker. We do need a safety to complement Eddie Jackson. And why not bring in an Illinois boy himself, Sidney Brown, strong safety out of University of Illinois. He's picked 56. I think he would be a great addition to Chicago.
I like the thought of taking Sidney Brown. Illinois guy, like you said, coming out of Illinois, Chicago, playing in the same area, used to the cold weather games, whatever. I like the move taking a safety. Who are the only reason I don't immediately think of our DBs as a need is just because who is all of our DB core right now? We have Jalen Johnson, Eddie Jackson, Jaquan Brisker. Who else? Are those the main 3? The main 3 studs?
Kyler Gordon.
Yes.
But who's that guy? We got Jaquan Brisker, but who plays our nickel? Who plays our nickel? We need that guy that will play our nickel. And I think Sidney Brown fills that role really well. I think he could come in and he would be like a Jaquan Brisker or a Kyler Gordon type that could contribute right away. And I know we say, let's not go defense right away, but there's so much talent in this draft on the offensive side of the ball that I think we can get that talent in the 3rd, 4th round.
Well, and we didn't go defense right away. We chose an O-lineman as our very first pick, and we had another offensive pick too, didn't we? Or did we go defense from there on out?
We went defense from there on out. So,
all right, but still, you need a good defense to complement an offense. I think we've been building our offense with the free agency a little bit. We've got Robert Tonyan, we got a guard, didn't we?
Nate Davis, and then we traded DJ Moore.
Davis. And we traded for DJ Moore. So I think we've been building the offense with trades and signings. So I'm okay making the draft a little bit more defensive focused outside of the first round or two.
Perfect. I'm locking in Sidney Brown. All right. Pick 103 because we don't have a third round pick this year.
What happened to our pick 64?
It went to Washington with that trade.
That was the trade.
They took Derek Hall, edge rush, out at Auburn.
Just checking. So we got 103
in your case, who did we pick at pick 64?
At 64, we took Jervon Dexter.
Okay, the defensive tackle. And we already got Mozzie Smith.
Yep.
So,
yep, we picked Smith. So we're good.
I think we need to focus offensive side of the ball. Unfortunately, Sam Laporta got taken at number 94, kind of like you thought. I forgot that we did not have our third round pick, so that's on me.
I didn't, when you said that, I didn't even think about that. I completely forgot.
Really on me.
But I stand by what I said, though. We do have Robert Tonyan and Cole Kmet, so he wasn't like a huge need. It would have been just a nice kind of addition if we had the space.
For sure. Well, and there's one guy that really stands out to me right now that he terrorized Iowa last year. He's the reason Nebraska beat us, and Trey Palmer, wide receiver. In the fourth round to get Trey Palmer, wide receiver out of Nebraska, and he's the 74th prospect. So, like, getting him at 104th, and he's the 74th best prospect, he fell. So I would take Trey Palmer in a heartbeat, wide receiver.
I think Trey Palmer would be an awesome move. Let me see. Where did they go? This draft has him going 46.
Yes. So
in my simulation. So they have him going to the Patriots pick 46. So yeah, I think that'd be a complete steal. If he's still on our board right now, that is insane. Yeah. Let's grab him.
So I'm taking Trey Palmer, and then the other guy I was thinking Xavier Hutchinson from Iowa State, wide receiver. But you got to take the best prospect, and Trey Palmer is the best prospect.
I think definitely Trey Palmer beats out Xavier Hutchinson. In another world where Palmer goes before the third or the fourth round, Xavier Hutchinson is a great move too. This simulation I ran actually has us taking Nathaniel Dell, wide receiver out of Houston. Yep. So it looks like this pick is just a unanimous receiver pick. And so I think we go with the best on our current board, and that is Trey Palmer. So
all right, Trey Palmer, welcome to Chicago. All right. And then we have another fourth round pick 133rd. We are
this simulation. Sorry, I was going to say this simulation has us taking another offensive tackle, Wanya Morris from Oklahoma.
He is off my board, unfortunately. So we're gonna. Then this is the hard part with doing two different ones, guys. This is a little different to me.
It's still just curious to see, even just position wise, a little bit. Like, okay, we took a receiver in the fourth. Here's another, we're going line again, like later in the fourth. It's just curious to see the kind of order of position even, or just get an idea based off this simulation for what's going on compared to what we're doing over here. So,
yeah. And so and that makes sense. I really like seeing that. I would say let's go with Braden Daniels, offensive guard from Utah. He's picked 145. I know we had him in our top 5 offensive guards that we made for our TikTok. Braden Daniels, I think he would be a solid pick, and we need to shore up our offensive line, and I think that's one way to do it.
They have him going 130 to the Bills in this simulation, so that's right around the same area that we're looking right now, 133. I'm with it. Let's beef up that line. Let's get Fields the protection, and let's run and throw the ball.
Yep, and I agree. Oh, and I want to mention one interesting thing. Max Duggan is off the board to the Kansas City Chiefs to be Patrick Mahomes' backup quarterback. That's quite the spot. That is a really awesome spot for Max Duggan. In the fourth round, that's a good spot for him. So that's a cool little move right there by Kansas City if they actually did that. So offensive guard, we picked the offensive guard. I think right now it's just kind of who's best available. Right? I mean, round 5, Xavier Hutchinson is still on the board at pick 119. Do you take another receiver in this draft?
Maybe. I mean, shit, we do need receivers, and there's not necessarily any guarantee that who we got is going to work out. I mean, if you think like Chase Claypool was kind of doing whatever for us last season, Even Darnell Mooney, you could argue, is not doing the hottest last season. So if you got DJ Moore, keep Darnell Mooney in, say Chase Claypool's not performing well, put Trey Palmer in. You can't, even then, you got to have backups. You got to have good, solid backups. You got to have rotational guys. You got to have options for going spread or going fucking empty backfield, you know? So I think taking another receiver is not a horrible move. Especially considering we've hit our other points. We've got a D tackle, we got some linebacker, we got guard, we got offensive tackle, we got line in general. I think it's a decent enough move to grab another receiver and just kind of, you know, let those 6, 7, however many we got, just battle for position.
Yeah, I agree, but I also think there is one guy that's on the board right now, and it's Riley Moss, cornerback out of Iowa. I think he could be a really solid pick for us. He really did well at Iowa. He shined in the Senior Bowl. I think we got to go Riley Moss, cornerback out of Iowa.
I like it, but also I did think of one thing that we have not grabbed yet, and I don't know what all we have available. We have not grabbed an edge rusher.
We have.
Just thinking of Moss outside of that realm, even, we did already take Sidney Brown
DB.
And a DB. And we, as we mentioned earlier, have Eddie Jackson, Jaquan Brisker, Kyler Gordon, and Jalen Johnson. Like, we have a solid DB room. And this is just a little bit more, since we did take Sidney Brown as like a safety and stuff, this is just more of what I hear in our coach's office, because I know what our DB's coach has talked about it a little bit. He thinks Riley Moss is going to go into the NFL, and he thinks he's going to get moved.
I agree.
He thinks he's definitely more of a safety than a corner.
Sure. So, and if we're looking at edge rushers, we got Byron Young from Tennessee. He had a very successful career at Tennessee. He's actually projected to be a 123rd prospect. And so if we got him at 136, that's not too bad. That's pretty much of a steal. So I think we go Byron Young out of Tennessee.
I like taking Byron Young. The simulation I ran has him going 134 to the Bengals. So, yeah, once again, getting him at 136, like, that's dope.
Perfect. All right. So now we have filled every spot that we need. So I say best available at this time forward. Xavier,
and we are moving. Well, let's get moving on this too. Like, we're down toward the end of the draft. Like, who's around? All right, let's go with them. Move on. Let's start getting through this, because we are well over halfway through this episode and we still got a lot.
For sure. I do think we need to go running back because we haven't filled that extra spot. And I think
it's always good to have backup running backs. I'd say it takes about 3 at least. You know, you need your 2 top guys that can share the snaps, help each other out with getting breaks. And then you need a 3rd guy that just, in case someone is hurt or in case both of them are a little exhausted, if you're running a bunch, 3 to 4 backs minimum. We got 2. I'm with picking back.
And I think Deuce Vaughn out of Kansas State. He's a Tyreek Hill type. It'd be kind of a reach, but if we could have a player like we had in Tariq Cohen before he got hurt, I'm okay with that. I want that Deuce Vaughn. He was really great at Kansas State.
Yep. This simulation I ran has him going 196.
So it is a reach
in the 6th round. So it is a reach. But at the same time, like you said, we filled our other spots that we need to. We do kind of need a bit of a backup back, and that's all he is. He's a backup
returner.
Yeah. He'd be like a 3rd string kind of guy. So, like, I'm with it. Let's go.
All right. And then we are in our final round, round 7. We have 2 picks in round 7. So best available right now is Aiden O'Connell from Purdue, and I think that's a good move to be our backup quarterback. I mean, I know we have PJ Walker, but on the off chance that Justin Fields does not perform, we have another young guy on the roster. And taking a quarterback in the 7th round doesn't really scare Justin Fields. And I know Aiden O'Connell was solid at Purdue.
Yeah, I can get behind it. 3 quarterbacks, is kind of like, why do you need 3? But at the same time, like you said, we don't truly have 3. We have our main guy that we're hoping works out in Justin Fields. We have his mentor that we brought in for a year, in PJ Walker, and we have the questionably new up-and-comer / backup guy to Justin Fields should he get hurt following that first year. So PJ Walker can mentor Fields and O'Connell and get them both familiar with the system, like learning NFL quarterback, whatever, and then he can be Justin Fields' backup for however long he needs to be, like 3-4 years when PJ Walker is no longer.
Yep, and I look at it as like the RG3 effect. They drafted RG3 in 2013, and they drafted Kirk Cousins in the same round. RG3 ended up having a career-ending injury. Boom, Kirk Cousins came in and replaced him for 3 to 4 years for Washington. This is just, like it makes sense. So,
yep, I'm with it.
All right, Aiden O'Connell. And our very last pick in this NFL draft, we are second to Mr. Irrelevant. That's intriguing. We still haven't not picked a tight end, and I think we do go tight end here for our last pick. And there is one tight end that really gets my eye, and that's Jaleel Billingsley from Texas. Pick 348, and the reason he really shocks me that he's so low is because he was great at Alabama before he transferred to Texas.
I'm with it. Can you spell his first name?
Jahleel.
He is not in the first round in my simulation at all, but
okay, there we go. And it's the second to last pick. You take a flyer on a guy. I think that's what it is.
I don't think it's a horrible move. I mean, like we said, we got Tunyon for 1 year. Hopefully Cole Kmet will step up, but it's always solid having extra guys just on the roster. Backups, you can get into 2, potentially 3 tight end sets if you really want to. So I don't hate the move. Let's go. It's the last pick.
So, yeah, and that rounds out your draft, guys. So we picked Peter from Northwestern, Trenton Simpson, Clemson, Mozzie Smith, Sidney Brown, Xavier Gibson. Oh, I'm sorry, not Xavier Gibson. That was the Texans. Trey Palmer, Braden Daniels, Byron Young, and Deuce Vaughn, and Jaleel Billingsley. And that
I like it. I think that sounds like a solid draft. Moving on from our Bears segment, let's get into our Hawkeyes a little bit with our black and gold breakdown. Iowa's currently playing their spring game right now, actually. It is not so much of a spring game as it is just kind of an open practice, which, I don't know, is all right, I suppose.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
It's cool. I wish it was a true spring game. There's always some intriguing, going to those. It's always cool to see. But, spring games, they just don't hype me up as, it's a spring game. You're not going to see the best quality. You're not going to see the best. You're still working through. People were giving Arch Manning some shit at the Texas spring game because he, didn't perform. Well, he's played 15 practices. So, these young guys, or Cade McNamara, if he plays like shit, he's still learning the playbook, guys. Give it a rest.
And being at Iowa's practice, what was it, a few weeks ago or whenever it was, early April, we went to an Iowa practice as a staff and stuff. And yeah, we saw Cade McNamara not running a ton of plays quite yet because he's still figuring stuff out, we had Joe Labus and whoever our other guy is, taking a decent amount of snaps and stuff. And he was, he's still learning. He's still figuring it out. They all are. And you got to think too, when you're watching a spring game, yeah, it's not the highest qualities because you just lost all these people to the drafts, but yet you don't necessarily have all of your commits in yet either. Now, some cases like Arch Manning, yeah, they leave in the spring, they come, they start practicing, they're there early. Not all your commits are going to do that though. Some guys are going to finish out
high school
and arrive in the fall. Yeah. So
yeah, I just don't think, I'm not really impressed with spring games. That's all I really got on it.
For sure. Another bit of news we have on our Hawks is Brian Ferentz had an interview or something, was asked questions. I don't know exactly what the deal was. I just have a quote from him discussing his new contract of his performance bonuses. So they actually cut his salary a little bit, but are adding it back in through bonuses if the offense performs. We've talked about this before and the stipulations that actually go into it and whatnot. So many points per game, so many wins, et cetera, et cetera. Those details are in a previous episode. I forget which one, but commenting on that.
Listen to all of the episodes.
Yeah, just listen to all of them. Yeah. Go find it. But commenting on that, he said, we're going to do the same thing we do. So he's not planning on changing anything up. He's, he said it right there. We're going to do the same thing we do. He added on to that. It wasn't one direct quote. This was another portion of it. But the other quote by him following that is, we're going to do them better. So they're doing the same things they do, but they're going to do them better. Okay, Brian, what's your plan for doing them better? Doing them better is not a plan. What are the? How are you doing them better?
I've noticed every Brian I've ever met is a dumbass. No offense to the Brians out there everywhere, but
I'm sorry to any fans we have named Brian.
so
but
sorry, but God, I hate Brian parents, man. We're going to do the same things we do, but we're going to do them better. Like, bro, like get out of here. When is Brian Ferentz going to be fired? Like at that.
He will be fired when Kurt Ferentz is no longer coaching in college.
Yeah, well, he needs to have a heart attack or something. I didn't say that on the pod. Don't cancel us, please. But anyways, no, Brian Ferentz, like, okay, we'll see what happens. That's all.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious to see how the offense does, especially with this new contract pressure on them, and I'm super curious to see how the defense does too after just losing so many pieces.
I'm not worried. I'm not worried about defense. Phil Parker always has our boys ready to go. Like, I feel like Phil Parker is such a great defensive coordinator. I love him to death. Offensive side, yeah, I am concerned, man. But, like, at the same time, we did get a couple of guys that I am excited to see in black and gold, like Cade McNamara and Eric All. Like, dude, seeing both of those guys come in, Eric All was a great tight end for the Michigan Wolverines. I'm so pumped about this. And he's like, I see why this is called tight end U. They do things different here. I saw that quote, and I was so happy. I was like, let's go fucking Eric All, man. I think he's going to be the next great Iowa tight end that comes out.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. I'm excited to see how Iowa does this season. Hopefully it'll be good. It is 8-win Iowa, so we should come out with at least 8, as always, but we will see. Moving along here, we're going to get into our NBA playoff segment, Beyond the Arc. So we're still in round 1 of the playoffs, as they do a 7-game series, which is different. I've kind of started to like it a little bit. I still, for reasons, kind of don't. But Avery can rest assured a little bit more at night now. The Bucks did give up their first game. Giannis got hurt. He was back out. But they did come back and win their game 2. So they're tied 1-1 with the Heat. They play again today, actually, this evening. Once again, it is Saturday that we're recording this. So, yeah, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, God, man. Because like not last episode, but the second to last episode, I said I'm nervous about the fucking Heat. Like, I am nervous. That's the team I did not want to face in the play-in games. And here we are. Giannis is also not playing again tonight. He is hurt. So he will be out one more time. But when we lost that first game, I cried a little bit. I broke down, I'm a little baby. But I think that just shows true fans, true fandom right there. But holy crap, us coming out and proving, hey, we don't need Giannis, like really, 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 really made me excited to see Brooke Lopez go off, Drew Holiday to go off, Chris Middleton to improve.
For sure. I told you after that first loss, you had nothing to worry about. Avery did not do his job because he was so upset that he could not fathom going through and posting the highlights for the game. So, I believed in your Bucks more than you did. Like I said, they're 11-8 without Giannis. Like, I know things get weird and change in the playoffs, but like, it is the Heat. They are just an 8th seed. They had to win 2 playoff games to get here. I think you're relatively safe. Even without Giannis, I think the Bucks are a solid enough team that by the end of a 7-game series, they'll be fine.
Yeah, and Giannis will be back. I mean, they said that he should be back by Game 5 if this it will go to a Game 5, so he should be back. But if the Bucks come out tonight and take care of business, and then come out and take care of business in Game 4, I could see them resting Giannis Game 5. And seeing them, I would. Like, it would make too much sense. I mean, but this game was incredible, man. Like, we were up on the Heat by, 40 points at one point. It made me so happy to see. Brooke Lopez is a beast. 25 points. He also had, and Bobby Portis. Let me tell you about Bobby Portis. He came in to replace Giannis for being hurt. Bobby Portis literally he didn't go off with points, but this stat line is amazing. 13 points off the bench. 15 rebounds and 9 assists. I like.
Yep. And hey, there's a lot of other contributions to basketball than just points. Points is not the only stat always on the board. There are 5 people on the court. Assists, rebounds, even the untraceable stats are game-changing things of just being a good screener. being a good guy to box out, just getting down the court. There's a bunch of little things. Some have stats and some don't. Like plenty of great players could not get necessarily a bunch of flashy stats, but you know what? When they're on the court, their presence is known, and they do things that are background things. They're kind of the background guys that get the job done in ways that the scorers just do a different thing. But no, yeah, the Bucks. This goes to show too why the 7-game series is beneficial. Like the Bucks did lose to the Heat in that game 1. Would this be single elimination? Like Bucks would be gone. That's bye Bucks. So that right there, I guess, shows the argument for why this is a good thing. The only reason I don't care for it is because the Kings lost their first game to the Warriors. The Kings are now 2-1 in that series. I was very, very upset watching that last game. I was not pleased with it at all. We'll get into what happened in game 2 a little bit more, but first I'll just run through the other games we got going on. The Celtics and the Hawks. The Celtics are up 2-1 on the Hawks. The 76ers are up 3-0 on the Nets. And I do believe that's a pretty sure lock.
Oh, yeah.
I think I heard that it has never been done that a team that's up 3-0 has lost the series. Is that
right?
Correct?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a pretty good lock for the 76ers there. The Knicks are up 2-1 on the Cavaliers. The Nuggets are up 3-0 on the Timberwolves. So there's another lock for you. The Grizzlies and the Lakers are tied 1-1. I already said the Kings and Warriors are 2-1 in their series right now. Kings up, thankfully. And the Suns and the Clippers, the Suns are up 2-1 on the Clippers. So far, I think things are going about as expected with all of that. We'll give you guys more details in each game and whatnot in each series as like we get toward a game 6, game 7, and actually end these things. But we do got to talk about the Kings a little bit, being my team. On top of Draymond Green, got a flagrant 2 for stomping on Sabonis. And I heard a little bit of controversy about this. I know some of the guys at work were asking me, like, oh, did you think it was a flagrant 2? I was like, fuck yeah, I did. The dude stomped on a guy. But what's your take on this ejection?
Okay, well, one, Sabonis started it. He did. Like grabbing his leg, everything. But no, yeah, that's just Draymond. Like he shouldn't have stomped. But like if you notice, like Draymond, like he plays with fire, he plays with intensity every single game, and that's just Draymond Green. And he's been like that since he came into the league, and he'll always be like that. I mean, there's no excuse for it. There is controversy because Sabonis did start it, but it is what it is.
And that's what we were talking about at work too and whatnot. And Sabonis, I need to point out, Sabonis did get a technical for starting it. Like everyone is acting like they should be punished the same and whatnot, but like Sabonis did get punished. He got a technical because he held his leg. That's great. Draymond stomped on a man's stomach. Like that can kill people.
Well, like, I mean, yes, it can, but at the same time, bro, like, did you see how hard Draymond Green fell? Like when Sabonis grabbed his leg, he fell hard. That can break a hip too. Like if you want to go into that same aspect,
he fell hard because he stomped on him. He didn't try to land at all. He fell because he stomped. Like he pulled his foot out, and instead of moving it and like balancing, he brought it down on his stomach. Like he didn't fall because of the grab. He fell because he fucking stomped. But I don't think it's an equal. I do not think it's an equal type thing. I think they are both penalties and obviously should not be done. But I know everyone is making it sound like they both should get equal punishments, and I don't agree with that. But this also brings into the view and the scope, whatnot. One of the reasons Draymond Green did get the flagrant 2 in the ejection isn't just because of what happened during that play, or whatever you call it in basketball, I guess, play. He's known for doing this. Like he is known for doing these things. And so that feeds into the whole, like, hey, you do this all the time, get the fuck out of here. And that's what I want to ask you right now is it gets into the theory of, does punishment fit the crime, or does, what's the other version of that? Like the person fit into the punishment type of, you know what I'm saying? Like, should it be looked at through a microscope, or should it be looked at as a historic occurrence type deal?
If you want like an unbiased opinion, like with that, you got to go with not looking at the history of every single event. Like you got to go into the game with a clear mind, clear conscience. Like, because like at the end of the day, that's why he got a flagrant 2, because they know who Draymond Green is. They know he's a dirty player. But he's a dirty player because he just plays that hard. his defense is incredible. And like,
okay, well, I don't want to say he's a dirty player because he plays like that. You can play hard and not be dirty. Like there are plenty of guys out in the NBA that are not fucking gut punching each other, and they still go hard.
Yeah, no, I agree. But like he just reminds me of Dennis Rodman. He's like the new Dennis Rodman. But like the cool thing with it is like I think he just needs. You're right. Like they shouldn't have punished him for his. What do you think? Because I'm not sure.
I'm kind of with you on because in the grand scheme of things, I do think it needs to be a little bit like this game oriented. So maybe not necessarily whole history, but maybe within a game, like within a single game, if you got a guy that's like committed, like if someone's doing 2 or 3 technicals, maybe not all of them were called, but if you can tell someone's out there just being extra chippy within a game, I think you are allowed to give a little leeway with that. Kind of like, okay, this is your 3rd time this game fucking being an asshole, so you can't get out. I don't think it should be a historic, like this is who you are, what you're known for. I think in ways when you're trying to equate it to like a law standpoint, that gets into a very gray area of the punishment doesn't fit the crime. And we are a society that believes in the punishment should be fitted to the crime, not, your history. But I don't know. In some instances, it's hard to say because like what also happened, Harden also got a flagrant 2 for hitting a dude in the nuts, which he supposedly has done all the time. Like so many guys that have gone against him have come out and said that he's hitting guys in the nuts to get by and stuff. Like they've gone to the NBA, they've gone to the refs. Like this is a huge thing. And so in that kind of regard, a part of me is also like, well, I think to some degree you have to consider the history of it. Cause like, if you're going to come out and like, let's say you come out once a game and jaw jack somebody, granted that would get you a flagrant 2 in and of itself, but you get the idea. If you're going to come and like pull that shit every game, like, I don't know if the punishment should necessarily be equal every game. Like there should be a point where it's kind of like, hey, you need to cut this shit out or there's going to be more severe consequences. You know?
And it's just a really gray area. I don't know. Like it's such a gray area. Like, and with Draymond, like I don't think maybe this time it shouldn't have been a flagrant 2. Maybe this isn't the right time to make a example out of it. But I mean, but the same with James Harden. Like, I mean, so I don't know. Like, I think at a certain point you got to like nip it in the butt. But at least right now.
Well, and the biggest difference in my head with James Harden and Draymond Green, like those 2 things happening, James Harden looked like he was playing basketball. Like they called a flagrant 2 on it, but it's not like it necessarily looked like he was super intentionally doing anything. Draymond Green was obviously, in a power position, knee up and fucking driving his foot down. Like that's, you like, no, people have made the argument like, well, he was pulling his foot out from, Sabonis holding it. Like he had no choice but to bring it down. Like, yeah, you can pull your foot out and like your foot will come back down, but you can tell he's like emphasizing like a downward, like heel drive into that step down. Like that's not a natural thing that's just going to happen. But yeah, Harden is the super gray area with me because that, like we said, it looked like he was just kind of playing basketball. The dude just kind of happened to go down on the ground and like, I'm sure it happens sometimes, but like supposedly he does it all the time. So where do you draw that line of like, hey, we know what you're actually doing? Like,
not in the playoffs. No, I'm kidding. That's terrible. But like honest a little bit because it dictates these games. Like both these guys are star players on their team. I wouldn't say like Draymond's a star player, but of course you got Steph and Clay. But like at the same time, like it does affect the way that this series will be played. And I do think Sabonis should have got a flagrant 2 too. Like, and here's my.
I don't think you should get a flagrant 2. Flagrant 1, maybe. How often do we see guys hold feet? I've seen that so many times. It's never a flagrant 2. That is not a flagrant 2.
Well, and the only reason I'm saying that is if Draymond's going to get punished, maybe Sabonis should have been punished.
He did. He got a technical.
Okay, I get that, but like maybe more of a severe punishment.
For what? Doing something that people do all the fucking time in basketball?
Yeah, I don't know, but
I truly cannot fathom how people are trying to equate holding on to someone's foot, which we see happen all the time through like college basketball, NBA. Like it's a foul. Yes, you shouldn't do it. People do it all the time though, and they're getting stepped over. And equating that to literally driving your heel down into a dude's stomach. How is that fucking comparable? I don't understand it.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, I guess I don't really have any more to talk about this, but like I do want to talk about the actual game. I watched this game, and are you a little nervous that Steph Curry's getting hot?
Yes, I am super nervous, especially after. So in game 2, we did pull out the dub again. It was a close game. I was a little nervous watching it, but we won. So I was like, okay, 2-0, we're in good position. I knew if we got to that 3-0 spot, we were, like no team's done it before. Come on, one more. And with Draymond Green going out, I felt like an even little bit of increased, like, hey, they're down a player. We got a shot. And then we came out in game 3 and like, I don't know what the fuck we were doing, but it was not playing basketball because we looked like shit.
For sure. Yeah. And Steph, he went 6 for 12 from the 3-point line, scored 36 points. Clay added an extra 13, and so did Andrew Wiggins. So, like, yeah, you guys got your hands full coming up with if Steph gets hot, watch out, because like I've seen Steph get hot and it's terrifying.
Luckily, this is, like we've said, a 7-game series and all. So we are up 2-1 still. We still have got room to, if we win, well, let's see what happens in game 4. Game 4 is being played tomorrow at 2:30, which is awesome because now I don't have to stay up super late waiting for the game day. I can just watch it middle of the day, go to bed at my normal time, not have to lay in bed with my phone, like just waiting for the fourth quarter to end. But we'll see what happens in game 4. We'll either be 3-1 or 2-2. If we're 3-1, I'm gonna be a confident man. I'm gonna say we got it. We're good. If it's 2-2, I'm gonna be scared shitless.
Yeah. So. Well, hey, I want to say one bright thing. Keegan Murray had his best stat line of the playoffs against this loss. I mean, he played 22 minutes.
What were the stats?
He was 1 for 5 from 3. He scored. He rebounded. He had 5 rebounds and he scored 6 points. But that's the most he's done in the playoffs.
I know. The minute you said Keegan Murray had his best stat line, I was like, that's sad as fuck, because honestly, I don't remember him hardly touching I remember him being on the court. I just remember him doing not a lot of great things while he was on the court. And he got 3 fouls like right away. Keegan Murray racked up 3 fouls like within the first quarter, I think. I was like, bro. Yeah, I was like, oh, damn.
And it's crazy because Keegan Murray had such a good rookie year, and then in the playoffs, it's like he struggled.
This is prototypical Iowa, though. Like, is this not exactly what Iowa does?
No, yeah, we are like everybody. Like, it doesn't matter what sport, but maybe besides women's college basketball. But
yeah,
maybe even then too, because Caitlin Clark didn't have her best game against the LSU Tigers. So maybe even then too. Iowa sports choke every time they get the chance.
For sure. And so that's all I could think about, honestly. That is just all I could think about when I was watching Keegan game 3. I was like, he broke a rookie record for threes in the regular season, and playoffs comes around, and now he's just like, he's not doing too hot. And I'm like, this is a just typical fucking Iowa mentality. And I don't know if that's what it is. I don't know if it is truly like a mental thing. Like, hopefully, I don't know the Kings coach's name, I forget, but hopefully he'll be able to work with him. I don't know if they have a team like sports psychologists. I'm sure they do. But a part of me just wonders, like, is this a pressure thing? Like, when things get changing in the playoffs, is that when, like, mentally you start to crumble a little bit? Like, do you need some psychological reinforcement there or reassurance? Like, hey, just go keep playing. You're good.
Right. And that's the hard part. Like, right now I'm trying to figure out who is the last Iowa Hawkeye to win a championship. Like, in any professional sport, college sport, like, I don't know, but I'm trying to find that right now.
Yeah. Well, while you're looking at that, we'll see if you find it real soon or not. But this has been a real long episode. I think we're at like an hour and a half or something right now. We'll speed that up a little bit post-edit, maybe cut some stuff out. We'll see. But thank you guys for listening. Once again, don't forget to vote on the name of our Bear segment, the Bear Trap, Bear Necessities, or the Bear Cave. Let us know what you guys think is best. And if you got opinions on any of this other stuff, Draymond Green, Flagrant 2s, our NFL mock draft, anything we've talked about, or Iowa's offense being bad, let us know. Let us hear it. We want to hear your guys' feedback. We want to hear your comments. We want you guys to interact with us.
For sure. So last Iowa player to win a Super Bowl was Tristan Wirfs in 2020 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So pretty recent. At least Tristan Wirfs doesn't choke. All right, guys. One thing I gotta say, since it was all Chicago Bears, bear down.